On your way home from work tonight, you spot a fluffy kitten or puppy by the roadside. Gone, shoot your hands, instantly itch to touch it. Even at the zoo, standing behind thick bulletproof glass gazing at a fluffy tiger cub, or a seemingly slow-witted koala. The very first thought popping into your head is never will it eat me. Oh my god, it's so cute. Can I walk over and pet it? Quickly rein in your overflowing maternal instinct and impulsive urge to reach out. You have probably never truly pondered. The act of voluntarily touching another species is an extremely bizarre, irrational, even suicidal genetic bug spanning hundreds of millions of years of biological evolution on Earth. Let us shift our perspective to the brutally unforgiving wild natural world. Within nature's ruthless ledger of survival, every calorie of energy burned is a matter of life and death. When carnivores approach another species, their sole intent is to kill it for food. When herbivores edge close to another creature, staring straight into its eyes, they either aim to kick it to death from a safe distance or spin around and flee for their lives. Across hundreds of millions of evolutionary chains, from dinosaurs, lions, zebras to eagles, no species would ever casually stroll over to give a completely different wild animal a full-body massage. For no reason. Imagine traveling back 50,000 years to an ancient jungle. A competent early human spotting a pack of wild wolves or a saber-toothed tiger would have only one correct instinct: immediately raise a stone spear, draw a bow fully taut, or scramble up a tree for dear life. In that bloody, savage age, those ancient humans, soft-hearted enough to see wolf pups and feel an urge to walk over and pat their heads, got killed by wild animals long before they could reproduce, leaving no chance to pass that trait down to you. If nature is this merciless, and this compulsive urge to touch animals is essentially suicidal behavior, why do every single one of us alive in modern society inherit this primal craving to pet any animal we see? Why do our bodies and brains develop this powerful urge that directly contradicts wild animals' survival instincts? This is, in fact, another top-tier domestication superweapon forged by our ancestors over 2 million years of trial and error, more powerful even than fire itself. To unravel this mystery, we first need to understand our own two hands, which you use every single day yet have never truly known. From an anatomical standpoint, the human hand is inherently a biochemical weapon capable of dimensional suppression against other animals. After humans evolved upright bipedal walking, our hands were completely freed from locomotion to craft precise stone tools and pluck tiny fruits. Human fingertips evolved the densest, most sensitive cluster of tactile nerve endings across all life on Earth. Your fingertips are packed with hundreds of corpuscles of touch per square centimeter. But these nerve endings exist not merely for labor, they connect to the oldest chemical communication code shared among mammals. Modern neurobiology has conducted a famous landmark experiment using monitoring equipment. Researchers discovered that when a human strokes an animal gently at a specific pace of 3 to 5 centimeters per second, this exact frequency of friction directly activates special nerve fibers beneath the animal's skin. This nerve signal shoots straight to the animal's brain center at the speed of light. The animal's body then begins mass producing two extraordinary chemical substances, oxytocin and dopamine. Oxytocin is biologically known as the hormone of trust and affection. When oxytocin surges inside an animal, its amygdala, the brain region governing fear and resistance, is effectively forced offline. Blood pressure drops, heart rate slows, and wariness crumbles in an instant. Dopamine, meanwhile, delivers intense feelings of pleasure. In other words, when you pet an animal, the experience is equivalent to a side effect, free euphoric brain high for that creature. This forms a two-way biochemical addiction. As you stroke an animal, your own brain simultaneously secretes oxytocin and endorphins, melting stress away instantly and lifting your mood tremendously. Tens of thousands of years ago, when our earliest ancestors first picked up an injured wolf cub beside a campfire, they did not treat it as reserve food to be eaten. Instead, they extended their rich hands and gently stroked it for days on end. Through repeated petting, the warmth and rhythm of human fingertips rewrote these wild animals' brain pathways by force. With touch acting as a gentle biochemical scalpel, humans gradually erased the ferocity, bloodlust, and vigilance embedded in these predators' DNA over millions of years, little by little. It can be said that the act of petting was the invisible whip with which humanity first conquered wild animals and launched the grand history of domestication. But before wild animals were fully tamed by human touch, why wouldn't they sense something odd and bite our meddling hands clean off? This brings us back to nature's coldest law of survival we covered in previous episodes. In the wild, apex predators are not fearless killing machines when choosing prey. On the contrary, they are the shrewdest accountants in existence. We have emphasized repeatedly, wild animals have no medical insurance or sick leave in nature. Even a seemingly minor injury, a broken paw, an eye slashed blind, means that animal can no longer hunt efficiently. Its inevitable fate is to starve to death in agonizing pain. For this reason, any healthy lion, tiger, or cougar will run complex calculations in its head before launching an attack. Am I familiar with this prey? How will it fight back? What are my odds of getting hurt when they encounter humans? This equation simply does not add up. First comes the natural deterrence of our body shape and posture. Humans are extremely rare mammals that stand upright by default. In an animal's visual logic, upright posture signals oversized body size and extreme aggression. Gorillas beat their chests and stand tall only when enraged. Black bears rear up only when and ready to fight to the death. Yet our species shuffles around upright all day long in the eyes of animals. This amounts to a non-stop threat display 24 hours a day. Wolves and leopards have observed zebras and antelopes for millions of years. They can predict exactly where a panicked antelope will flee with their eyes closed, but they cannot make sense of humans at all. When a human spots them, instead of fleeing in terror, our eyes light up and we even walk forward, stretching out a bare, clawless hand toward them. This bizarre behavior triggers a maximum level danger alert in predators. Nervous systems immediately. They wonder, is this bald ape insane? Are its accomplices hiding somewhere nearby? Is that stick it might be holding capable of spitting fire? Is this unarmed outstretched hand some kind of lethal trap? Faced with such massive uncertainty, any healthy predator will invariably choose to back off. There are plenty of familiar, easy targets like rabbits and antelope nearby to hunt. Why risk crippling itself and a slow, lingering death just for a meal of this strange upright ape? Not to mention that over the past 2 million years, armed with torches and spears, our human ancestors systematically hunted most giant prehistoric beasts to extinction across the planet. All wild animals alive today carry an innate ancestral fear of humanity etched in their blood, so when you give in to the urge to touch small animals, nature has erected an invisible protective barrier around humans. You may think you are acting purely on affection and luck, but your ancestors earned you an eternal death-free card to indulge your impulsive hands through hundreds of thousands of years of bloody conflict. Having talked through ancient strategic dynamics and biological superpowers, let us turn to the most emotionally resonant part: why you still cannot resist the urge to pet animals, even living in 2026's modern society. This ties into a poignant modern psychological and physiological concept known as skin hunger. Looking at the evolutionary timeline, our species has existed on Earth for 2 million years. For 99.9% of that span, humans walked barefoot on soil, lay down on grass, slept huddled together with dozens of tribal relatives every night, and breathed the same air alongside various domesticated animals. Our skin constantly received physical sensory feedback from nature and other living beings. Human genes have long grown accustomed to this high-density physical contact with life. Yet only in the past 200 or 300 short years, the Industrial Revolution and urbanization sliced us brutally away from nature. S embraced like a sharp blade. We moved into concrete and steel matchbox apartments, dozens of meters above the ground, severed our connection to the earth, rubber soles on our shoes, locked ourselves behind cold security doors, shutting all wild animals and forests firmly outside. What does daily modern life look like for you? You stare at cold liquid, crystal screens all day long, your fingers tapping cold plastic keyboards and glass phone displays. Under the efficient, civilized yet deeply isolating social norms of cities, aside from a small handful of partners and family members, we barely engage in any physical contact with other living creatures at all. Your brain may believe you live a comfortable, secure, advanced life, but the primal animal genes slumbering inside you for 2 million years scream and tremble deep inside every night, starved from chronic lack of tactile stimulation. This prolonged deprivation of physical touch keeps your cortisol levels chronically elevated. This is the underlying physiological reason why modern people, with no shortage of food or shelter, are collectively plagued by anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Then a warm, fluffy, breathing, purring little animal crosses your path as you reach out and stroke its fur again and again. Your fingertips rediscover the throb and warmth of another living being. When you bury your face in its soft coat and inhale its earthy sun, kiss natural scent, this is not you condescendingly spoiling the animal from a position of superiority. It is your lonely, touch-starved inner primal human begging nature desperately for signals of healing and safety in that moment. With its unreserved compliance and warmth, this small animal tears open a healing gateway leading back to primeval forest for you, trapped inside this cold, mechanical modern society, reflecting on humanity's entire rise to dominance. This is an extraordinarily poetic, miraculous story. Millions of years ago, facing prehistoric giants several meters long, with fangs inches long, capable of crushing us with a single swat, our species evolved no impenetrable scales, no unmatched running speed, nor venom deadly enough to kill on contact. We mastered fire and fought our way to the very top of the food chain amid bloody, cutthroat natural selection. We could have acted just as tyrannically as every other dominant ruler, using whips and iron cages to subjugate all other life on this planet into soulless servants. Instead, we evolved the most sensitive, dense, and benevolent set of tactile nerve endings in existence. Once our ancestors built tall enough barriers, conquered the darkness for good, and became the undisputed sole rulers of this planet, we looked upon those wild creatures that once sought to tear us apart and chose to stretch forth our warm, magically healing hands toward them. Every other apex predator on Earth marks cold territorial boundaries only with teeth and claws. Humans alone learned gentle caress through our nerve-laden fingertips. 2 million years of brutal evolution ultimately culminates in this quiet second of tenderness when you lift your cat into your arms. So tonight, when you trudge home exhausted after work, if a furry companion lies beside you, belly exposed, sleeping utterly defenseless, do not hold back your urge to reach out. Unleash the 2 million year evolutionary superpower stored in your fingertips and deliver a full round of cross-species biochemical dimensional suppression upon it, for you are not only healing it, locked inside this lonely room sealed off by modern civilization, it is also straining every ounce of its age, old, ancient warmth to heal you with everything it has.